Okay, today's lecture is going to be on 3 major competitive advantages. And let's get into a quick overview as always. So in combat and other forms of competition, there are several factors that go into determining which party has the best chance of victory and ultimately which party will be victorious. This lecture will focus on the 3 most important advantages a party can have. So we'll start in third. This is going to be superior resources. So superior resources is a vague advantage, but ultimately it significantly increases a party's efficiency in the pursuit of completing their task. So an example in combat, right, having superior training, weapons, armor, superior transport, but any competition, right? If I'm a bigger company, if I have more money, I have better computer systems. If I'm digging a hole, right, if I have a better shovel, I have a better pile driver machine, or if I just have a body from digging holes from 10 years that's better suited to the task, that all falls under resources. Number 2 is going to be superior numbers. The second best advantage any party can have is superior numbers. Resources are only as good as the entities that can apply them. So many people would think, right, well, is numbers better or is having better technology better? But at the end of the day, the technology is useless without somebody to use it. Of course, in combat, right, having squad mates, logistics supports, maintenance examples. So like one thing people would think, like, well, one guy has control of the nuclear missiles, right? So that one guy can take on billions. But like especially in America or any country, our nuclear infrastructure takes thousands of people to control it. It's not just a guy pressing a button. Goes to 2 guys who have to turn a key and target it, and one guy has to make sure the missile's fueled, and a bunch of guys have to clean up the nuclear waste and store it, and they have to maintain the missiles. So even though it seems like that's a resource advantage, it's also, you need a huge amount of manpower, probably at least 1 million man hours a year, just to have the capability for one guy to press that button. So the number 1 most important one is stealth. A lot of people wouldn't see that coming. So the greatest advantage any party can have is stealth. There are several classifications of stealth, including existential stealth. So you either don't know a threat exists at all, or you know they exist and you don't know they're a threat. Right? They could be plotting on you and you have no idea. You think Larry's your best friend, and since you don't know he's plotting on you, you can't really you can't prepare for him. Of course, physical detection. You know the threat person is a threat, you know they exist, but you don't know where they are, you can't see them, hear them, whatever. And of course, the last one would be intellectual stealth, and this is they know something you don't know. So an example is, you ever see the movie Quiet Place? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's going to sound stupid when I explain it, but basically a bunch of aliens that can only hear invade Earth, and they have this super thick armor all over their body that nobody can penetrate. So even though you can see them, you know they exist, you can physically detect them, because people don't know how to hurt them, that's what makes them invincible, right? Or again, same thing, we go to competition, right? If I sell a product and nobody knows the secret to my trade, you can't really compete with it. Like the F-22. The F-22's been around since 1996, and the Russians and the Chinese still haven't figured out how they're able to have an aircraft, with a radar signature the size of a pen, right? So again, intellectual stealth. You don't know the weakness, or you don't know how something works. So stealth denies your competition the opportunity to compete. Right? That's what makes it the best advantage, is if you don't know I exist, you don't know where I'm at, or you don't know how I do what I do, you can't even really actively compete with me altogether. Right? Like, if I was to fight every member of the Russian Special Forces, right? If they don't know I'm their enemy, they can't detect me, and they don't know how I'm doing what I'm doing, I can beat all of them 1 on 50, because, again, if you can't detect me, you have no idea what I'm doing, you can't even fight back. So that's why stealth is the most important. So even if you're carrying a gun and body armor, and you've been training for 20 years, if you're on your phone walking in the streets and somebody walks up behind you, none of that shit matters. So it goes back to situational awareness. So we haven't kind of covered it: covert operations, silent weapons, classified technology, etc., etc. So let's get to the overview and the takeaway of the lecture. Securing these competitive advantages over your competition all but guarantee your victory. Yeah, if you've got superior resources, superior manpower, and stealth, your competition doesn't know you exist or they don't know what you know, there's not really any way you can be stopped. And then competitive advantages are not always immediately realized. Work to maintain neutrality when possible. So this is a very important principle. So let's start with resources. Take like a 1960, was it 63 Mustang? That's the famous one, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
By modern technology, that's an outdated piece of technology. But if a nuclear bomb goes off and fries all the computers of all the new cars, now you have the best car, right? So even though the technology may seem outdated at the time being, and that all depends on the environment, right? In a world where there's no EMP radiation frying microchips, yes, the new cars are way better. But in an environment where all the computers are destroyed, now your analog carburetor car is the best car available. Or if you have laser weapons and there's no power to charge your laser weapon, now people with bullets have the best technology. So even though it may seem like outdated technology in a current kind of environment, the environment may change to make that relevant technology again. And then we go into manpower. So the people you know now may be useful to you at one point, even if they don't seem useful today. Maybe down the line, life is unpredictable, you don't know. Now, if you're loud and screaming out your political ideologies and kind of painting yourself in one little corner, you may alienate people who may be useful to you later. Or if you kind of only tell people, keep people on a need-to-know basis, you keep more future options available to you. Okay, and that also goes to stealth too. Again, right? If I'm out and about talking about who I am and what I'm trying to do, people that might be a threat or might be a threat to me, they know that. Versus if I keep it to myself and keep it quiet, I can identify them as a threat before they identify me as a threat. Right? So that's something a lot of people like to express themselves and put the heart on the sleeve and say everything out loud, but that can screw you over in the future. So just kind of food for thought for the day. And I promise you it'd be short, so there it is.
All right.